Hello everyone, hi, how's it going? So today we'll be making kofte, so Kofta Curry. Let's get started with the recipe. So first of all, we're going to start by mixing together our mixture for our koftas. So I've got half a kilo of mince. I'm just going to put that to the side. So I'm going to prep all the things that we're going to put into the mince first of all. One small onion, peel that. So I'm just cutting the onion slightly just so that it makes easier work for the blender. Add onion into our blender first of all. So I'm only using 2 green chilies in the whole dish because we're not big on having stuff really spicy in our house. Obviously you can always adjust according to your own preference. If you like things a little bit spicier, you can always add in more. So I've got 1 green chili which I've cut in half. I'm just putting that in with the onion as well. We're just going to blend this. The spicy kind of went out my throat there. So put your, there's only 1 chili in that. Your blended onion and chili into your mince. So don't like wash out that yet because we're going to use it again for the curry base as well. Next we're going to season this as well with some spices because nobody wants a bland meatball. Off with some salt, half a teaspoon of salt. About 1/4 teaspoon of red chili. Cumin powder, half a teaspoon. Some coriander powder as well, half a teaspoon. So the yogurt in the meatballs kind of also helps keep them a little bit soft as well. So that's why we're adding yogurt in there. It's got a tablespoon of yogurt, heaped tablespoon of besan or chickpea flour into your mixture. Just basically you want to get your hands in there, mix everything in until it's nice and combined, okay? I'm going to roll these into small meatballs, okay? So you I just like to do them quite small. You can do these whatever size you like. I like to keep them quite small. Cook easier, cook better. Do like a heaped teaspoon of mixture in between your hands until you get a ball that is kind of round looking. Okay, you can use a little bit of force to get it round. And then you basically just put them all on your plate. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I've got about 25, so you can make roughly 25 meatballs, which is quite a lot. So that's our meatballs prepped, so we can move on to the curry base now. Let's put these to the side. I'm going to prep 2 onions for the base of the curry. So peel and then, oh, not tomato, Rahana, onions. I do know the difference between an onion and a tomato, I promise. You need 2 like medium-sized onions. Again, so I'm just going to put them into the blender. So as you can see, my blender is full because it's quite small. So I'm going to mix my onions first. And then I'm going to do the garlic and ginger separately, okay? If yours is big enough to fit everything in the same go, then you can just put everything in the same bowl. You get your handi or your cooking pot, wherever you're going to make your curry in. Your onions straight into there. Whole bulb of garlic, peel it and then put it into our blender. So we want to use the whole bulb. Want some fresh ginger as well, so about 1 inch size piece of ginger. And again, you want to peel it. And then I kind of chop it into smaller pieces just so it's easier for the blender to put as well. All goes in the same pot. And let's prep our tomatoes as well because I like to blend those as well. So we're still using our blender and you cut them up. Got 2 like medium sized tomatoes. Also a green chili. You can use 2 green chilies if you want to make it a bit spicier. Absolutely up to you. The only reason why I'm using 1 is because we're adding red chili powder and also because I've already added a green chili into the koftas. So 1 is enough for my family. But if you want to add more, feel free to add more into yours. Tomato milkshake. Drink it all up. Chili. And then have you seen that meme where someone drinks something and says, "Why is it spicy?" This is definitely spicy. So we've got onions, we've got garlic, and we've got ginger in there. We're going to go ahead and add in our oil. And I kind of just add enough to cover the base of the pot. That's my kind of go-to measurement idea. And I tend to use olive oil for cooking. Okay, let's put the heat on. I'm just going to go straight on to a high heat. Add a teaspoon of salt. I use pink Himalayan salt, so I'm going to add a teaspoon. So why I add the salt in straight into the onions is because it draws out the moisture of the onions and it just helps them cook. So that's why I add the salt in straight with the onions. Mix the salt in as well. Basically gonna saute this until it starts changing colour a little bit, and then we're gonna add in our tomatoes. It's kind of greeny, so that's normal with the garlic to do that. At this point we're gonna go ahead and add in our blended tomatoes and our green chilli that we blended, remember? 2 tomatoes and green chilli. We're gonna add those in. Ooh, carefully. Stir that in. So the tomatoes contain their own water as well, which will also help the onions cook further and the garlic and everything cook further. If you feel like it's begun to start sticking in the pan, if you feel like the masala is sticking, you can always add a little bit of water in there to prevent that from happening. But so far, the water of the tomatoes and everything else and the onions should be sufficient to cook this. The way to check that if it's ready is basically if you take some in your spoon and it bubbles whilst it's in your spoon, that means it's ready for the spices, okay? Alright, so I'm going to turn the heat down ever so slightly just to put our spices in there so they don't burn. 3/4 teaspoon of red chilli, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, haldi, about a teaspoon of cumin, and about a teaspoon of coriander. And increase the heat a little back up to like a medium high. Okay, and we're going to cook these spices now. I'm going to add just a touch, not all this, just a tiny bit of this water, just a splash. Because you need to cook the spices a little bit before you add your meatballs in there, okay? This is our curry base, alright? Okay, so that is ready for us to fry our koftas in now. If your heat's on a high, make sure your masala is nice and hot, and we're going to fry the koftas straight in here, trust me, okay? So we prepared them earlier and we're just going to slowly add them in. So if your curry base is really dry, you want to make sure that you add a little bit of water in here to help it along so it doesn't burn while your koftas are frying. And you can fry these separately if you want to as well. You don't have to do it this way. But me, I hate washing up, guys. You know me. So I just do everything in one pot. So we don't want to touch these because they will break. So what I like to do is lift and shake the pot just to make sure it's mixed in. Right, so now they're in there, I'm going to let them fry a little bit in there in the oil. So I'm going to turn it down and then I'm going to put the lid on. We want them to kind of steam and fry at the same time. Cook a little bit so that they don't break apart, right? So while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and boil some water in the kettle, okay? We're going to cook these for about probably 6-7 minutes like this. So every few minutes you want to go back in and you want to just give them a little shake. Don't be too hard, especially at the beginning. Let them kind of cook a little bit first. As you can see, they're frying up nicely in here, changing colour. Half cooked. You can actually go in with a little fork or something like that and just turn them around. Whatever you find easier. Just make sure that you just be careful with them, okay? You don't want to break them so that they fry on both sides. All the oil has come to the top. This is now ready for the water. The koftas are nicely fried off. They've changed colour. Yeah, this is ready for the water now. So I'm going to increase the heat to high again. So we're going to add our hot water. I'm going to add enough to cover the top of the koftas, okay? If you want to make your curry a bit runny, you can. I'm going to make mine runny but not too runny, okay? Just give it a shake. Again, I never go in there with a spoon, okay? because you just don't want your koftas to break. And we're going to leave it on a high heat now for about 6 minutes, 7 minutes, just to reduce that and turn that water into like a stew. Let's cook that. I'm just going to put the lid back on halfway so that it's not overboiled. But we've got on like a medium to high heat now. So while this is boiling away, I'm going to chop up some coriander. Can you see? The oil kind of comes to the top. You can always taste the salt and stuff in there to make sure it's right. And you want to check to see that your meatballs are cooked as well. They are done now. Yeah, they are. Look, they're cooked all the way through. So you want to make sure that they're not pink. That means if they were pink, they would be raw, but this is cooked all the way through, so that's fine. So this is done. We're going to turn it off. Finally, go ahead and add in your garam masala. 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. Fresh coriander as well. Give that a mix in. There you have it, guys. Delicious Kofta curry ready to eat. So that was it, guys. Kofta curry. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to boil some eggs now. And then I'm going to bob them in there as well. I don't think you need to see that part. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And hopefully I will see you next week with another recipe.